And we're rolling, Mason.
All right. Hello, folks. Welcome to another rendition of the Hicks from the Sticks podcast. This is episode number 91, Dev.
91.
Yeah, 91.
It's crazy.
Is there any famous sports
No, not
athlete
really.
that has number 91?
Not really.
We'll be getting close to McDavid and
Wayne Gretzky.
Gretzky coming up here.
Yeah, and also the
Before you
100 episode giveaway.
Although now that we're only doing one episode per week, it kind of you go through the episodes a lot slower now, eh?
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
We're going from 2 to
Yeah.
1 makes a big
You
difference.
just gotta savor them, I guess.
I guess for anyone that's listening to this podcast right now, what's you guys' opinion on that? Drop a comment on our socials. What do you think? 2 episodes or 1 episode? I know we did a survey way back when during our our off season in December.
The off season.
The off season. But yeah, I don't know. I've enjoyed 1 episode.
Yeah, I like it too.
So
But anyways, episode number 91. Today we have actually a couple guests
it's a
on.
dual guest episode.
Yeah, double interview. So stay tuned for that. But before we get into that, was there anything specific you wanted to talk about, Dev?
Again, always check the description, check the links in our description. We have buy us a beer link. You know, it's the thing, the page is actually buy us a coffee, but I thought it'd be more fitting to buy us a beer. So
if I'm always down for beer.
I'm always down for beer. Well, seltzer.
Yeah.
Or like an Arizona iced tea.
Devin, when's the last time you had a gluten-free beer?
Izzy got me some this summer. Thank you, Izzy, for giving me the rice beers. I think I gave it a rating of a 5 out of 10.
So you would or wouldn't have it again?
I would have it again, but it wouldn't be my first choice.
Okay.
I'd rather have a seltzer over a rice beer.
So, but have you really tested out the different gluten-free beers though? Because there's got to be one out there that's decent.
There's probably is one out there that's pretty decent, but I personally think I'd rather just go with the seltzer because it's safe. You know?
Because you like girly drinks.
No, I don't like girly drinks. I just think they're safe.
You know what? Yeah, that's sure. That's what you say.
Yeah. Well,
I feel like you're too far deep into the whole seltzer game where you probably don't even like beer anymore.
I like beer.
I like beer.
I used to drink Molson Canadian all the time.
Yeah.
People give me crap for drinking Molson
That was
Canadian.
5 years ago.
Yeah, but
do you even remember what beer tastes like?
Tastes like beer. If that's the right answer.
Sure.
Yeah.
I don't think we had really anything that exciting that happened over the
nothing
weekend.
really. I thought, why don't we just get right away?
Wait. Well, give me a second.
Oh, you're curious.
I just wanted to say something quick here.
All right.
I just wanted quick little sport talk blurb here.
All right, quick.
Very quick. So football's over, obviously. So now it's hockey season. I have to admit, I haven't watched as much hockey as I should. I need to steal my Sportsnet now password from my parents. But I just want to touch base on these guys behind me here, the Oilers.
Yeah.
They just beat the Maple Leafs 5-2 tonight. This is March 1st that we're recording this.
Yeah.
Man, the Oilers and McDavid specifically.
McDavid's on a run. I'm
Dude.
a Blaze fan. I'm giving him credit. He's on a run.
He's over 100. He's still got 20 games to go. He's going to make 150 points this year.
He probably is going to.
Yeah.
So
I
what's
just
the single season record again?
Nah, it's probably something crazy. But there hasn't been a player that's gotten 150 points in one season for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
And he's already over. I think he's probably around 53 goals right now as well. So
wow,
he's probably gonna get 60 plus for sure. And the player hasn't done that for quite some time as well. I think as well because I don't think Matthews did it last year. So so yeah, just going forward here as we get closer and closer to playoffs. I'm sure there's probably going to be some more hockey talk that happens. Not so much from the Flames perspective. From Dev's side, I mean they're kind of on the fringe right now, so they could get a wild card.
Yeah, but how well would they do in playoffs? Probably
who
not.
knows, man.
You never know. Good old Cinderella story ain't bad.
It's true.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, look at the Canadians during the bubble year.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So. Yeah. All right. Was that your little spiel?
That was enough.
Your little shout. Your little shout out to your Edmonton Oilers.
Yes.
All right.
Keep rolling, Oilers. So let's hop into our interview here. Who's going to be our first guest?
Our first one is Preston, aka the VA ranch VA farmhand. Right? Sorry. He is from Virginia. Virginia's a long way from Alberta. So if you're a local listener to the podcast, it's gonna be very different. I hope you guys enjoy it. You learn a little bit about what's like to farm on the East Coast and southern East Coast, I guess you could
And
call
also, I just want to say I loved his accent.
it. He had a good accent.
He had a good accent.
He had a good accent.
He had that nice southern accent.
Yeah. So let's hop into that.
Yep.
All right, Mason, we're rolling.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another interview. Devin, do you want to introduce who our guest is here today?
So I saw this fella through social media on Instagram and TikTok. So today we have Preston. Thanks for coming on today, Preston.
What's the last name?
It's Harris.
Harris. It says it right there. It says it right on the screen. He's also known, his social media handle is VA Farmhand, correct?
Correct.
So I'm assuming VA means Virginia, right?
Right.
All right. Wow. I'm just nailing it right on the head today.
Damn.
Usually I'm pretty bad at this. So well, yeah, Preston, I guess to start off, do you just want to introduce yourself? Give a bit of background for the listeners?
I'm Preston. I'm 19. I've been full-time farming about 2 years once I got out of high school. Just a hand. I own too much myself. But I've been in the industry for most of my life. And,
Gotcha. Did you come from a family farm, or was this something that you kind of got into?
not directly on a family farm, but my family has a background in farming.
Mm-hmm. What did that kind of look like in the family side?
It was mainly hogs and tobacco, horses, stuff like that.
Gotcha.
My grandparents, great-grandparents.
Gotcha. So not necessarily the mom and dad, eh?
Mom grew up around it, but dad did not.
Gotcha. And so then now you are a farmhand or ranch hand?
Farmhand.
Farmhand. All right.
Yeah, we gotta get the proper terminology.
Yeah,
down here.
some people prefer to say ranch over farming, which is understandable. So I guess we're gonna do a couple icebreaker questions. So you're in Virginia, we're up in Canada, and I found it. So on social media, I've seen a few videos where it's Americans trying to guess things about Canada. So I want to know what your one known fact about Canada is.
My one known fact.
Yeah.
Oh. I just
What's the name of the hockey team that's in Toronto?
I couldn't even tell you. I didn't to Canada much.
Fair enough. I guess we're going to continue on this Canadian theme. What's your perception of Canadians?
All I think is I've seen some pretty big farms out there, but they're all nice guys supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
Supposed to be, yeah.
Supposed to be.
That's what they say.
Keyword there. So yes, yeah. We were gonna do a little game here, but we didn't quite prep it to see how well your Canadian geography, how well you knew it. But we're gonna skip that. So, what's something though cool about Virginia that just for all the Canadian listeners that are listening?
Probably the Appalachian Mountains. It's all mountainous where we're at.
Mm-hmm.
Is Virginia mainly mountainous, or is there also kind of some flatlands?
You can get over towards further towards the coast, kind of flattens out, but most of Virginia is mountains and pretty steep ones.
Yeah, pretty sweet. Is there a lot of skiing there then, or a lot of like mountain sports?
Kind of like the fake snow skiing.
Oh, okay.
Gotcha. Awesome. And also, so based on what I know of the American map, Virginia's, would you say, is kind of, is it a part of the South in a sense?
Right. This part of Virginia.
Yeah. So what's the food like down there? Like, you guys eating like fish and stuff, or not really?
A whole lot of red meat and sweet tea is about it.
Okay. All right. Gotcha.
Oh, right on.
Awesome. All right. We'll stop asking those types of questions.
Yeah.
So you briefly talked about you've been before we get into like the operation that you're at now and how, like, what was kind of your journey before this one in ag?
I got into it from a family friend. He started his operation when I was pretty early on, probably middle school, and he saw I took an interest to it, kind of took me under his wing, and I'd skip days at school, go out with him, work cows, stuff like that, and that's kind of how I fell in love with it. And when I was about 16, I went to a different part of Virginia and lived for a couple months during the summer on a big stalker operation, and learned a lot then. And then that's kind of when I decided this is what I want to pursue.
Mm-hmm. Did you ever go for any schooling for it or no?
I've not.
Gotcha. Straight into it. That's good. That's a good way to do
You
it.
probably learn more that way, anyways.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. All right, let's talk about the place that you're at right now. So, is your official title a farmhand there?
Yeah, we already covered this.
Well, I'm just saying. Maybe he's like the head farmhand. Maybe he's a farm manager. You know.
I'd say we're kind of all the heads. It's three of us that kind of complete the operation, and we all share the same task.
Gotcha.
All pretty much run the place.
Gotcha. And how did you get into this operation? Was it like family, friends, or anything like that, or was it just like an application in the newspaper?
I had a buddy I went to high school with, and he graduated a couple years before me, and he was leaving, and knew that I was into agriculture, and he reached out to me, said that they needed somebody to fill his position.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah.
Gotcha. Fair enough.
I guess before we get too deep into that, you said that Virginia is mainly kind of mountainous. So is it mainly just beef operations that are going on, or is there quite a lot of grain as well?
It's not too much grain farming. Really just not the soil for it or the weather.
Mm-hmm.
But in some parts of Virginia they can get around that.
Mm-hmm. Is your area mostly just ranching?
Most.
Gotcha. Awesome. All right, let's talk a bit about the operation here. So you guys mostly just cow calf. I thought I saw some background in there, but I wasn't quite sure. So what's the main encompass of it?
It's all cow calf, and we background our spring calves, mm-hmm. and sell straight off the teat on the fall calves.
Gotcha. Is there a reason for that or no?
It doesn't really pay off to background the fall calves. Just with what they usually bring, the grain doesn't pay for itself, the hay doesn't pay for itself, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. And then what are some of the dominant breeds within the herd at the moment?
It's all Angus, Sim-Angus.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. All black or red?
All black. We've got one red.
Well, one red.
One red.
If you could run the place, would you go black or reds?
I'd go black.
Oh, okay. All right. Fair enough.
That's fair.
That's fair.
Yeah. Don't want to throw any whites in there or anything like that.
We actually just bought 3 Charolais bulls, 3 month ago.
Yeah.
So we're gonna start integrating some of that.
And then so you said that you guys do spring calves and fall calves. Is that common to have a dual, like 2 calving seasons?
Around here it is. It's pretty well pays the bills.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Is it just because of the climate you guys are able to because that's something that's foreign up here because it's too cold to the feed costs don't make sense up here. So
yeah, most of the time in the winter our lows are maybe in the teens, and that's on a really bad day. So we can get around the weather for the most part.
Mm-hmm. Any snow?
Yeah, we do get quite a bit of snow. This year we've got maybe a dust and that's it.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, so that makes sense. And then how what goes into managing 2 herds, even from a farm, from your perspective as well, because that's 2 calving seasons, 2 sets of calves you got to keep track of throughout the year. What type of management practices are needed for that?
So we keep our calving seasons really tight. We like to have all our calves out in a month to 2 months, and that narrow it down and keep our time where it needs to be.
Gotcha. And also probably then you're not calving for 6 months of the year, so you're not dead in the water by year 2 or 3.
Yeah. Right.
Gotcha. Have you guys always just ran bulls, or do you know if they've ever AI'd before in the past?
We do all AI and clean
all up. AI. Okay. Yeah. So do you AI then as well, or do you guys get technicians to come out?
We do a technician.
Yeah.
Would you ever AI yourself?
We've thought about trying it, but it just kind of makes more sense for us to have somebody else do it.
Yeah, I agree. It's not the most fun thing to do.
Well, I mean, you've done it.
Yeah, and
helps.
it sucks sometimes.
Yeah, that's fair.
So where you guys are at, like I've never been to Virginia before, so I don't really know what it's like. Are you guys having to do a lot of stuff on horseback, or are you able to get away with like ATVs?
It's pretty uncommon for somebody to do all of their work on horseback around here. Most everybody does it on ATVs.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I got my question now.
So you don't get to play cowboy all that often?
No, not at all.
Would you like to play cowboy all that often, or do you play ATVs?
I like to say I can beat one without it.
Yeah, ATV ain't gonna try to buck you off.
Right.
And you don't have to feed it. Well, kind of, but not the same way.
Yeah, a little different.
Not every day. So I'm gonna make an assumption here. I'm assuming Virginia's quite wet though, eh? Like you get a lot of rain.
Yes, especially in the spring.
So how do you manage your things with that comes things like a lot of scour, maybe some scour problems and stuff like that. How do you manage that throughout the winter with your fall calves and then that in the spring?
All our cows will get a scour ball shot, and that helps definitely cut down on a little bit. We really don't have too many cases of scours. We were able to cut a lot of that out, and if we do, we can take care of it pretty quickly and make sure it doesn't spread.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. Fair enough. What's a random question? Mason usually does the random questions. I got one. What's your least favorite thing about being a farmhand?
Probably the no time off and not sleeping in. Definitely. Wow.
You like your sleep, eh?
I used to.
Yeah.
Fair. Don't we all, Dev?
I don't get sleep.
Wouldn't you like to though?
Yeah, some days. Because see, you guys aren't in predominant grain country, so I'm assuming you have to bring most of it in. So what does your feeding program kind of look like?
We get it booked and shipped in through our local farm bureau, and it's kind of a three-way blend. And there is some people around who will shell corn and stuff like that, but it pencils out for us to just have it shipped in.
Mm-hmm. What's a farm bureau? It might sound like a dumb question, but I've never heard of one of those up here.
They're like southern states, kind of just a all around place for getting the necessities for the farm.
Mm-hmm. So like a translation to the Canadians or Albertans, a UFA or a co-op.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Even Mason now understands.
Yeah.
So when you guys are feeding though, is it mostly just hay then, or do you guys also mix in some silage there or straw, or how's that work?
Well, we just started this year doing wrapped hay, but we didn't integrate our calves into that. But it's mostly second cut, free choice second cut hay, and then we'll do about 8 pounds per head a day.
Oh, okay. Why second cut rather than first cut?
We saw a lot more gain in them from the second cut, a lot more protein, stuff like that.
Is that your guys' own hay then too, or you guys also have to bring that in? We
make all our own hay.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Trying to figure out Virginia here, so it's not, I think I'm getting a grasp of it.
But is Virginia a very populated state?
Yeah, I would say so.
Like compared to some of the other ones, or is it kind of almost a hidden gem right now?
Definitely not a hidden gem. Definitely, especially this part of Virginia in the last 10 years has been really overpopulated from most people's perspective.
So does that cause issues for the farmers in the area? Like, is there to a point where there's lack of farmland or ranch?
Definitely running out of land. A lot of subdivisions and housing developments being built and just expanding that wasn't here before.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I guess speaking of land, do you guys have leases out there? Or is it all rented and owned and deeded land?
Most of it, a vast majority, about 80% is owned, and then there are a few leases.
Is that more so just up in the mountains type of thing?
Right, yeah.
Gotcha. Awesome.
So this is going to be a really dumb question, but is West Virginia also a state, or what was John Denver talking about?
Yeah, West Virginia is its own state, but
Okay.
John Denver, I think, was talking about the west part of Virginia. I'm not sure.
Oh, okay. Yeah, let's just go with that.
All right, now I got a kind of a dumb question. Why is there Virginia and West Virginia? Why not just make it all Virginia?
Dumb, isn't it? But we didn't want Virginia. That's an uninhabitable place.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. I'm not curious. And then also speaking of feeding, since you guys don't get the cold temperatures and you get a lot of moisture, can you graze all year round?
We cannot graze all year round. And a lot of people around us can, but we run such a dense amount of head per acreage that we do end up feeding hay for. We were able to draw it out until pretty late December this year, and then we'll be able to let them out on grass in early April.
Oh, okay, so your feeding window is actually still quite small though, okay?
Yeah, we don't have a terrible feeding season.
What are so we talked about sometimes the wetness can be an issue, urban sprawl. What are some other challenges with ranching in Virginia?
It's a good question. I gotta think on that a little bit.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Is this so you've been doing it for a couple years now? Is kind of the end goal you see in this is to eventually have your own place with your own cattle, or where do you see the future of this going?
That's the plan. I definitely don't want to be a hand forever. I'd like to do some of my own operations.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure.
Maybe just to pick your brain for any of the possible first gen ranchers out there, what are some ideas that you have on the books or in your head that can make yourself successful with that plan?
Lease land. Don't try to go all in right at the start, or you'll lose it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because that's the challenge a lot of guys have up here. It's pretty well impossible to start out and buy land. Like you can pretty well only inherit it. So yeah, no, it's pretty similar down there in Virginia then. Like good luck buying land.
I've personally been struggling with finding land.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. What are some other management concepts that maybe would you adopt some unconventional management concepts as well to maximize what you have too?
Pretty well. A lot's been tried, and what we're on right now is what we found is best for the land and the cattle that we've got.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Which then I guess goes into the next kind of question here. Regenerative agriculture, regenerative ranching is a big part of ag nowadays, or big hot topic. Is the place that you're working at now adopt some practices, and also would you maybe adopt some though in the future with your own place?
What do you mean by regenerative?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yes, what you mean by it, I think.
Oh, like rotational grazing, cover crop grazing, stuff like that. Is that not a hot topic down in Virginia, or is it maybe a different word? I don't know.
It's not. We don't have any of those practices really.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Is there a reason for that? Is it more so just no one's picked it up, or what's the reason for that?
Or just nobody's picked it up.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
No, fair enough.
Fair enough. Awesome.
What does your guys' brand look like where you're working at?
We actually don't brand.
Oh, don't brand. Is that pretty common for Virginia?
A lot of people don't. We do double tags and notch in the right ear.
Oh, so you guys don't have a big branding every year then? Big old party. Shit.
Well, so you said a lot of people don't. Is there a reason for that?
I wouldn't say any specific reason. For us, it's more of it'd just be more of a hassle to get all the calves up and have to brand things. It's easier just to throw the ear tag and the notch in it and say good.
Nah, just the convenience is a little
Convenience.
higher.
Fair enough.
When do you guys start in the morning?
I get up about 4:30, and I like to be checking cows by at least 6.
Do you live on site there?
I don't. I live about 10 minutes down the road.
Oh, okay. So they don't have a bunkhouse there for you in the other hands, eh? Yeah, it's probably for the best.
What
I can only imagine the amount of mischief you'd kind of get up into there.
what does the rest of the day look like as a for you?
Right now, go in, we check the cows and check for calves. We just started calving season about a week ago, and then we'll split off and do all the feeding, and then we'll come back around 12, 1 o'clock, and any plans for the day past that, whether it's mending fences or working cattle and stuff like that, we'll do later on.
Mm-hmm. And when time do you end the day off usually at?
Hard to say. It's every day.
Gotcha. I guess I got a question now about cattle cycles, because up here, the cow-calf guys, there's cow-calf guys all over Saskatchewan, Alberta, then usually they end up in the feedlots and Lethbridge, then the kill plants and Brooks. Is there, how do the cattle move within that area? Are they going, most of your cows are going to Kansas? Could you explain that maybe to some people?
So for us, we sell to a private buyer 2 counties over, and they'll pick up, and then they sell and ship out west. There's probably no specific place that they go to. It's kind of wherever the highest bidder is, but
Gotcha.
it's all out west.
Gotcha. So most of the predominant feedlots are out west. And when you mean by west, do you mean Kansas, or do you mean west as in Texas?
I mean Kansas.
Kansas. You ever been to Kansas?
I have not.
What have you been to any of the surrounding states? Is there anything cool, any cool places around there, or no?
Farthest I've been is California. I don't recommend that one.
Fair enough.
I was in what's the one with the Golden Gate Bridge?
San Francisco.
Yeah, San Francisco. I was there during Labor Day weekend one time, and being on the pier, man, it was an absolute shit show. It was so busy, with that being a long weekend as well. Way too much people.
Oh yeah, that's a nasty place.
Yeah, the Disneyland as well. Just too much people.
Right.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong, I like people, but not that much.
Too many hipsters.
Yeah, right.
Too many Teslas and shit.
Yeah. Is it so that's the farthest you've gone west? Where's the farthest north you've gone?
I've been up in Wisconsin before.
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't really take that one either.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Well, don't they have I was listening to a podcast of some guys out in Minnesota, and they have a funky beer. It's called the Wild Cow or something. The Wild Cow or something. Do you know about that or no?
Well, so he's 19, Dad.
Oh, right. Shit, I forgot about that. Oh.
What's the name on your fake ID?
I don't have to have one. I look a lot older than I am.
Yeah, when you go to get smokes at the gas station, they don't even second guess it.
No, they don't.
Yeah, that's perfect. There's there any good bars in your area?
No, not here.
No, you got to go to the big cities for that.
I would say so. We got a lot of college towns around.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So is a rodeo pretty popular in your area then?
No, it's not.
No.
Got to kind of travel for those.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So it's just shop parties, eh?
Yeah, that's for the most part.
Yeah, there you go. Hey, ain't nothing wrong with that.
Ain't nothing wrong with that. Yeah. Back to the ranch. A bit of a tangent there. That's okay. Back to the ranching side of it. Did you find it difficult getting into the industry?
Honestly, for me, it wasn't. I can see how it would be for a lot of people now. A lot of places aren't hiring, can't afford to hire. I was lucky I got into it when I did.
Mm-hmm. If you weren't in ag, what would you think you'd be doing now?
I'd say I actually went to school for welding.
Mm.
High school, I kind of did both. I was farming and going to welding school, but that's probably what I would have followed.
I bet does your boss now appreciate the welding experience and you're able to fix a bunch of shit around the place?
Yep. Nice.
It comes in quite handy.
Yeah. Are you like so equipment or wise out there? Like since they don't have the large grain operations, are you guys running mostly like mid-sized tractors, like 200 to 300 horse type of thing, or like is the equipment quite smaller and easier to handle?
The biggest we've got is a John Deere 7800. We run pretty big hay equipment for our area. Like we got a 560M Silage Special baler, which is pretty big baler, and 30-foot drive, stuff like that, and center pivot mowers.
Gotcha.
That's about got.
Are most guys running deer in your area?
No, it's actually going mostly Kubota now.
Oh, okay.
Kubota, really?
Yeah. Which is it's sad to see. I'm not a big fan.
I don't think I've ever heard of an area that went Kubota. Usually, like there's like areas that flip between the major three, but never Kubota. Wow. Yeah. I mean, orange can sometimes be an okay color.
It pops.
It pops.
Yeah, it definitely does.
Yeah. Awesome. With the hay side of things, when you talk about second cut, is that second cut alfalfa, or are you guys doing like a mix? Like, how does that look?
Yeah, we'll first cut alfalfa, second cut alfalfa. We usually get about 3 to 4 cuts off the alfalfa, but we've only got 2 fields, about 40-ish acres of alfalfa, and it's not 100% pure alfalfa. It's kind of a mixture of fescue, alfalfa, orchard grass, stuff like that.
It's like the haying side of things. Is there a lot of hay land in your area, and is it mostly alfalfa, or are guys doing like some of the Timothy stuff and other blends?
Yeah, there's not a whole lot of planted hay in our area, but where we're at, it's in a big valley. It's actually really good hay ground. You hay on it if it's a season dry.
Gotcha. Any irrigation or no?
No irrigation.
That was my
That's
probably my dumbest question. But
woof.
Yeah, well,
yeah.
I'm glad.
Wait, so Virginia, I know we keep on going back to questions about Virginia, so I apologize for that. But Virginia, like, touches the ocean, right?
It does.
Is there like any good beaches out there? Or is it all just like gravel?
I'd say most people consider Virginia Beach trashy. It's definitely a sandy beach, but I don't think many people enjoy going there.
Have you ever surfed?
No, I'm definitely not a surfer.
Gotcha. Okay. We talked about the calving side of things. We talked about the haying side of things, feeding. So with I want to go back to the AI though. So is there a reason for that? Is it more to maximize genetics, or is it just a convenience thing again? Like, how does that? Why AI over?
We're trying to maximize genetics. We keep everything to replace cows with. So we're wanting to get the best traits that we can. Especially helps with the amount of that we have to buy. We can't afford to go buy a $20,000 bull to put out in the herd, especially with the turnover rate. So it makes more sense to try to AI those genes into it.
Gotcha. So I guess instead of a brand in there, the big AI party.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. If you could, would you only calve once, or do you like the dual calving?
I would. I don't really like the spring calving. It's definitely a lot harder on us and the cattle, but I do like the 2 calving seasons.
Okay. Now I got another question about that. Why usually generally, because up here everyone spring calves because it's easier. Well, it's again economical, but easier. So why is it harder down there to spring calve than fall calve?
Just with the weather thing, the side of things, where Virginia is mostly warmer. There in the springtime, it really hits the cattle pretty hard, makes them drop off, and it's just harder to keep things alive and well then.
Fair enough. Gotcha.
Because it's too warm?
Too cold.
Oh,
Too
too cold.
cold.
Yeah, I thought you said too warm at first. I was like, what?
Well, and also, is it quite humid there as well?
Yes, it is in the summertime.
Don't think I could ever do that.
Yeah, you probably couldn't.
I'd be sweating buckets.
Uh,
Have you ever toured other operations within your area type of thing and seen different things that are maybe unconventional?
No, we probably the most unconventional thing is we have a grazing dairy right down the road, which is pretty unheard of for around here. But
Mhm.
you know, strip grazing stuff like that. That's about the most unconventional thing.
Gotcha. Have you ever toured farms outside of the eastern U.S. and seen different things as well?
No, not for the most part. I'd really like to at some point.
Gotcha. Big homebody, eh?
Yeah, for the most part.
Homegrown.
Homegrown and homestaying.
Yeah, that's right.
Fair enough. All right, Mason, you got any more questions?
No. We got a random one here though.
Well,
or do you got a couple more here still?
so we talked about like what you kind of want to do and stuff like that. Like, what's the time? What do you think would be a timeline for that? And also, do you think you'll be able to get into this operation as well and have a stake at it, type of thing, or no?
Probably not with this operation. The bosses kind of don't work that way. For myself, I've got hopefully a lease lined up for April to get my foot in the door and start growing myself then, and hopefully lead off from there.
Oh yeah.
Good luck to you.
on. Yeah, that'd be sweet.
All right. We got two very important questions, side questions. This is usually we end off the podcast with this type of stuff. So we talked about how, well, obviously since you ain't 21, you don't drink beer, right?
Yeah.
Just kidding.
What's your favorite beer?
Favorite beer?
Busch Light.
Busch Light.
Busch Light.
Is that
Yeah, I get behind that.
Yeah,
That's what we were drinking when we were in Arizona.
Well, you were drinking that. I wasn't. But
yeah.
I think I'm out with some cool cans though. And also, are you a big football fan?
Yeah, it's pretty big around here.
Who are you rooting for in the Super Bowl?
I'd say probably the Eagles.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So were you a little bit heartbroken on Sunday?
No, I was in bed by halftime.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right
Watch Rihanna sing and then go to bed, basically.
Right.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Perfect.
Fair enough. All right. Well, anything else? Man?
No, thanks for coming on here. This has been fun, and yeah, good luck to all your future endeavors for sure. And
you want to shout out your socials again?
It's VA_farmhand on both TikTok and Instagram.
There you go. Everybody go give that a follow. Awesome.
Thank you again.
Appreciate it.
And that was our interview with Preston. Thanks again, Preston, for coming on.
Preston.
I hope people from like the local people that listen to us learn a bit something a little bit different because it's a different type of ranching out there. So
learn about what's going on way down there.
In Virginia.
Yeah.
All right, but now we're gonna hop into everyone's favorite segment, the Western Word of the Week.
This is Devin's favorite segment, actually.
I think it's everybody's favorite segment.
You know what? I started saying that once. I don't think it's anybody's favorite segment. I'm pretty convinced that nobody actually likes this shit.
All right.
But you know what? We do it anyways. So the Western word of the week that we had for this week, I'm trying to find where it is. Where the hell did it go?
Oh no, you lost it.
All right.
Oh, you found it. You found it.
Fiddle.
Oh, well, I'm assuming it's not the actual instrument, is it?
No, it's not the actual instrument.
All right, what's a fiddle? Or what
You
is?
don't want to make a guess?
It's like messing around.
No.
Oh.
Yeah, you know what? You're probably never gonna guess this one. It's a slang name for a horse's head.
Oh.
So the rider strives to keep a bronc from putting his fiddle between his feet.
Oh.
So I don't really understand that.
Not really me neither.
I don't really understand the lingo.
Uh-huh.
Obviously we didn't grow up in the Wild West, so maybe there's a language barrier there.
Maybe.
That we're just not quite that sure about.
Mhm.
But there you go, folks. Fiddle.
Fiddle. Are we gonna do a second one, Mason, or are we gonna stick with just
Do
the
you
fiddle?
want a second one?
Sure. What's the second one?
Okay, well, give me like a second here. If you
All
want
right.
some people.
All right, I'm gonna shout out a few people, of course. Again, links in the description. Shout out to Bar Double Diamond. Use code Hicks10 for some discounts. She has some pretty cool wild eggs. I think she even said she's about to drop some too. So be sure to check that out. And also our good old friends James and Izzy at Tall Timber Calico. Link in the description. Go buy it if you're in the Alberta. I guess if you're in Central Alberta, go buy some beef. So awesome. All right, Mason. What's the second Western word of the week?
Okay, so the second one, I kind of like it. It's kind of fun. No breakfast forever.
Oh. No clue.
All right, so no breakfast forever is said of one caught in a prairie fire. So this is another one where I don't understand where the hell that came from.
What
But
does
it
it mean
makes
by
sense.
prairie fire? Does it mean like an actual fire in the prairies or like a prairie fire shot?
Obviously he means getting caught in an actual fire. I don't think in the Wild West they were mixing Everclear and Tabasco together and calling it a prairie fire. And no breakfast forever. I mean, if you get caught in a prairie fire, you're probably gonna die. So the opportunity of having breakfast again probably is pretty slim. So no breakfast forever kind of checks out.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you again, Mason.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, and we're gonna hop right away into our second interview. Now, this is a returning guest, Brody Nestrovich. He came back. He just came back from Australia. He did a little tour. I don't know if tour is the right word, but visit.
A little stint.
A little stint. That's a better word. Thank you, Mason. A little stint in Australia. So he came on and kind of talked about it and what it was like to be Canadian and harvest crops out there. So
and just how everything's different than over here. So yeah, hope you guys enjoy that, and let's hop in. All right, hello everybody. Welcome to another interview brought to you by the Hicks from the Sticks. We have a two-timer on here now. We have Brody Nestrovich. If you guys remember him from the first time we had him on, it was that was like one of our first interviews a long time ago.
Yeah, I think it was 4 or 5.
February last year.
Yeah, something like that. And if you remember, we interviewed him about the cricket stuff, but we got him on for a different reason this time. He just recently had a little vacation, if you want to call it that.
Working vacation.
Yeah, working. I don't know if vacation's the right word.
Part of it.
But you were just recently in Australia for how many months?
Basically 4 right on because I calculated it, and it was about 121 days.
Was that like for while you were farming, or is that including the
all total? I was working for about 2.5 months.
Okay, so yeah, we just wanted to get you on here to, figure out what Australia is like, because obviously Devin and I have not been there, and I don't really want to go on that long of a plane ride anytime soon. So.
And yeah, I thought it'd be cool too, just to see from like a Canadian's perspective. Because we can relate to you being Canadian, right? Your Canadian perspective on what Australian agriculture is like too, right? So, and what maybe you can bring back over here, right? So,
yeah, for sure.
So, tell us
about
about
redneck shit over there. There's probably like nothing you'd want to bring over.
No, I feel like there's a lot of stuff here.
He's laughing because he knows it's true.
Well, would you say that? Okay, let's get into some of the questions here. So, would you say Australian agriculture is ahead or behind Canadian agriculture in regards to things like technology practices? What from your perspective?
So I'm going to start off with this fact. When I applied to go to Australia to get my visa, I always understood that Australia was ahead of us in technology, right? I applied to get my visa, and by the time I hit, and this was back in June of last year, so when I hit submit on my application, I had it back before the "we're processing your application" email even came in.
Oh wow!
So not even 3 seconds, right?
Jeez.
But
they have
on the
email
phone
over there.
Yeah, they do somehow. But on the agriculture side, it's honestly surprising how far behind they are.
Okay.
Like they're basically like the forgotten cousin. For instance, with John Deere, like with the SF6000 receiver, they have trouble getting anything for that. So like with John Deere's new SF7000, like that's light years away for them.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like the equipment over there is exact same when it comes to model year or what technology's in it. It's just they're slower adapting for some reason.
Okay, so equipment's pretty well the same. It's just some of their practices are a little outdated compared to over here.
But in some ways, they have us beat as well, just because they're dealing with different issues that we don't have, right?
Well, and that's just it. Yeah. So, I guess that probably factors in a little bit. You all right, Dev?
Yeah.
All right.
My computer likes to have like multiple search engine safety things. I always do the pop-up windows.
Are you searching up certain things on your laptop?
No,
America's coming up, Dev?
No, I don't. Sicko. Anyways, all right. So let's talk about the beginning of your trip. So, what day did you leave? Where did you go first?
So from Calgary, that was a time getting there. I flew out of Calgary and then flew to Vancouver, and that was an hour and a half flight, but it was delayed, which was kind of nice because I had a 5-hour layover in Vancouver. And then from Vancouver, I flew to Hong Kong, 13 and a half hours of flying.
Holy.
And then luckily that plane got in late because that was supposed to be a 12-hour layover, which turned into a 10 and a half.
Layover?
Yep.
So did you leave the airport?
No, actually, so when I was in China, they were still pretty tight on COVID restrictions.
Oh.
So if I even stepped foot out of the terminal, I would have been stuck there for 3 days.
So you couldn't even do any fuck shit over there, right?
No.
Was there any at least any good side
Chow mein?
Was there any good Chinese food in the airport, anything good, or was it kind of oh man, I'm stuck?
Just McDonald's.
Well, I was a pretty crabby son of a bitch in the Hong Kong airport because when I got into Hong Kong, it would have been the same time zone as Western Australia, thank God. So it was easier to start adapting earlier.
Mm-hmm.
But so Hong Kong time, I wouldn't have eaten since 2 in-the-morning, and I didn't eat till 2:30 on that same day because nothing was open in the terminal until noon.
Oh, okay.
Really?
Yeah.
They don't even have
It was a
breakfast
Sunday,
options?
and with the COVID restrictions, I think
There's no vending machines, nothing.
Nope, nothing.
Jeez, that's bullshit. Get your shit together, Hong Kong.
Did you even get water?
Well, yeah,
I
you
think
can do
it'd
that.
do much for you when you're hungry.
I mean, just
get your stomach.
beer. Did you at least get beer?
No.
Yeah, so that's
well,
the
actually,
question.
when I got into the lounge, I did.
Oh,
Yeah, I was gonna say that's the question everybody probably wants answered. Did you get drunk prior to getting on one of these planes?
Did you do
No.
the Derek Bentley song "Drunk on the Plane"?
I couldn't because when I got into the lounge in Hong Kong, I was only in there for 2 hours, so it was literally scarf down as much food as I could. And then thank God I got the last booking for the showers before boarding the flight.
Mm-hmm.
Then I had to run to the plane, get on, and then it was just under 8 hours to Perth.
So,
Got into Perth at 2 a.m. So I would have left here on the 30th of September from Calgary. And I got into Perth on the 3rd of October because it was 2 a.m. on a Monday.
So how uncomfortable was it sitting in a plane for that long period of time?
Honestly, going there wasn't too bad. Maybe just because of the longer layovers, but yeah, going there expecting it wasn't terrible, but coming home it was rough.
Yeah, I feel like Devin and I would want to kill ourselves.
Yeah,
just chop our legs off right at the knee.
Yeah,
I'm done.
Yeah, but considering I had
Yeah.
a full backpack under my seat going there, it wasn't too bad.
Okay.
yeah. So I've done one of those when I went to Ethiopia the second time.
Oh, yeah.
I was about this height already, about 6'3", 6'4". So I still had a couple inches left to grow, but I was about that height, and we did an 18-hour flight from Toronto to Ethiopia.
18?
18.
Did they let you just lay down in the middle of the plane?
No, they weren't. You could barely even get out of your seat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only time you get out of your seat was to go to the bathroom, and then usually your bathroom breaks turn into half an hour bathroom because you just want to stand up. So yeah.
Yeah, sure. That's what you're doing in the bathroom for half an hour.
Man, you're just on a different wavelength compared to me and Brody here. All right, so you land.
Hey, you're the one making it dirty, man. Who knows? Maybe you got a puzzle in there.
Whatever.
Who knows?
Whatever.
You got the crossword. You're doing that on the toilet.
I'm more of a Sudoku guy, but whatever.
Bullshit, you're a Sudoku guy.
Oh, I am.
No way.
Yep.
You ain't that good at math.
I'm pretty good.
Whatever.
So you landed in Perth, correct?
Correct.
So did you go right into the farming thing right away, or did you do a little bit of vacation before that? Like, what was this harvest season looking like as you got in there?
So the harvest window in Western Australia is about middle of October to just before Christmas.
And this is for their summer, well, their winter crops, correct? Because they have a summer. Some areas have summer crops and some have winter crops, correct?
With the grain side of things, they only grow in the winter just because it gets too hot in their summer. So for timing, they're about a month behind us. So they start seeding in late May, early June, and then they start harvest mid-October. So
Gotcha.
basically, once we're about wrapping up here in Alberta, they're just starting to get going.
Gotcha.
And actually, that's why a lot of people will do harvest here in Alberta and then go over there because it times out right.
Gotcha. So when you got in there, did you have some time to get your bearings and stuff like that, or were you like in a combine the next day?
No, I had about 2 weeks before I even started on the farm. So the first week I was there, it was just kind of jet lag recovery, get myself set up between needing a bank account and all my documentation in place for the farm that was left outstanding. And then, just kind of took it easy the first week. And then the first weekend, the town I was in was called Mora, which is just 2 hours north of Perth. And that first weekend I was there, they had their local bush races, horse racing.
Oh, okay.
So when
Did you make a couple wagers?
I stayed out of it.
Come on, Brody.
Oh, they are nuts about horse racing over there. So
Like it's a whole nother, it's like the Kentucky Derby, but on steroids type of thing.
yeah, pretty much. It's
boy.
And it's with a lot of sports, but it's one of those big ones that's as big as hockey is for us.
I feel like the Kentucky Derby is like it's probably
like
the
a pinnacle.
tie event.
But I bet you
this is probably all just
it's probably like the
red
red
jeans and cowboy hats and kind of shit, eh? A little more rowdy.
Or is it
They
somebody
were
costume?
dressed to the nines.
Really?
Oh,
I feel like it's like it's like the Kentucky Derby.
Yeah.
I've seen videos, so I'm assuming that's what it's like. No?
Yeah.
So
yeah, in my Ariat button down short sleeve shirt and shorts, I felt like a hillbilly there.
who the fuck is this kid?
Yeah.
Some Canadian bloke.
Yeah. Bloke. Yeah.
Bloke.
That's
So-
what they call man.
Awesome.
Yeah, a bloke.
Yeah.
It's just another word for dude, pretty
Yeah.
much.
All right. So after these 2 weeks, you show up at the farm. Do you want to explain what the farm is like out there that you were able to harvest with?
Yeah, so like I said, that was my first week. Second week I did a trip up the whole South Coast.
Okay.
And then so the following week after that, which was about 17th of October, I believe, I started on the farm. And so 5,000 hectares of cropland, which is about 13,000 acres. They do wheat, which goes for just milling for flour. And then they also do a noodle wheat that goes to Japan, which Japan is very stringent on the rules with it. And actually where I was one of the best regions of where that wheat comes from. And then
so they're doing a hard red spring and then a durum as well. Is that what you mean by noodle wheat? Is that they're doing like a durum wheat?
I guess the Australian version.
The Australian of a durum? Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right.
And then they do malt barley, and that goes for international markets.
Yep.
And then canola, the markets are the exact same as what we deal with. And then for a pulse, we were doing lupins, which they use for sheep feed, horse feed, basically any livestock feed, but it's like 31% protein.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
And besides lupins, everything is exported internationally because whatever's produced on the east side of Australia can support the country.
Because I'm assuming, if I remember my Australian geography right, majority of the population is on the east side anyways.
Yeah, between Brisbane and Melbourne.
Gotcha.
And then Perth has a decent size of the population too.
Mhm.
I'm not sure about Northern Territory and Southern Australia as much, but their capital cities would have a decent population too.
Yeah, but they produce on some. Is it Eastern Australia? If I'm correct, is the area where it's like the more intensive agriculture ground because they're getting the 2 seasons type of thing.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
Western Australia for the most part is just single crop per year. And then like even where I was is very new to crop production within the last 15 years
Mhm.
because it was all sheep and some cattle.
Gotcha.
And actually the farm I was on, they only had 3,000 sheep and they downsized from 10,000.
Holy, that's a lot.
Yeah.
Like all breeding stock too?
Yeah.
Oh wow. Could you
Yeah.
imagine lambing out 3,000 sheep? That would 10,000. That'd be a lot.
Oh, I
That'd
could
be a lot of rounds. Imagine if you got a bunch of triples and quads. That would
Yeah.
suck.
Yeah. My first week and a half at the farm was actually a lot of sheep work, and 3
Yeah.
days of weeding was a lot.
Which is good for your part in a sense because you kind of want to get into that business. We could talk about that another time or later on. But
Yeah.
so you get there. What crops are kind of getting ready first? Because I know out here it's usually your pulses are going. Maybe not your lentils, but for sure your peas. And then you get into your cereals and then your canolas and oil seeds and whatever specialty crops. Maybe
Yeah.
pivots down south.
So they're a little bit backwards from us. They
Mhm.
take the canola off 1st,
Mhm.
and we were actually picking up 40-foot windrows. That was nuts with a Class 8 combine.
Oh boy.
And then what did we went into the barley next, just because there wasn't as much of it, and just to try and get it off in time. But
Mhm.
also one grading factor in Australia that's very important there is the color. So, and we have that as part of the grading factors here, but we don't make or break decisions based on the color.
Gotcha. Yep.
So we were harvesting it depending on how it was coming off.
Okay.
Because instead of what we have over here where you would unload off combine into grain cart, into truck, and to the farm to put it in a grain bin, it goes from combine to grain cart to field bin to truck right to the terminal, basically.
Oh, okay. Does most farms out there, do they have their own on-site storage bins, or is everything going to the terminal?
They have some on farm storage. Like a lot of guys will keep their lupins on farm a lot longer because they're using them to feed their sheep, or because they can wait till a bit later because a lot of people would haul them down to Perth mostly.
Gotcha. Yep.
Because the local plant was more so the oats, the wheat, the barley, and the canola that it would accept.
Mm-hmm.
And but anyway, so other than that, unless they needed to dump something into a bin for a short period of time, those bins are only used for seed and fertilizer storage.
Gotcha. Do they ever have issues with how hot it gets with bin storage? Did they ever talk about that at all? Because I know out here for us it's different because you're not really storing in bins during the hot season. That's why Canada's. I've been involved in egg. I've noticed that Canada's one of the only places that actually stores grain. Sorry, just got off work again. Just stores grain on farm. We're one of the only countries that actually does it because we can do it with our climate. So in Australia, it's not popular. Is it mostly because of the climate, you think? Or?
Yeah, it gets too hot because there's enough insects that'll damage or eat the grain. Right?
Mm-hmm. And then are they storing on piles in the terminal, or are they going to bins?
Yeah, big piles. And like I actually got to go into the terminal one of the days that I was off from combining, and all these pits, and there's heaps of them. Like I'll get into that in a bit. But these things are the width of a football field and as long as about 3 or 4 of them.
Holy.
And just full of grain, and they can fill up in 2 weeks, no problem.
Oh wow.
Yeah. It was just mind blowing.
Yeah. It's crazy because we don't really see that out here because we have all that little independent terminals. Then it goes to a big terminal on the coast. But I guess for you being so close, you're able to see that, right? So
yeah, no, exactly. And like all these big pits. So this year was a really big crop for Western Australia.
Yeah.
And like before we were even done combining, like the plant we had nearby right in Mora was full. Yeah. So we had to find other places to dump the last little bits. And so that was fun. But they started off the season with still being about a third full because they had a big crop again the year before.
Yep.
And they did expand. But they've been having some issues with their rail lines trying to haul this all down to Perth.
Yep.
The trains only take so much at a time. So they're estimating that they're going into harvest next, or I guess this year now, with the place still half full.
Oh wow.
Which, if they have another big crop, they're kind of screwed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So it goes canola,
And then you try to do the barley,
and then after that, what's next?
do the wheat.
Yeah.
But we switched a bit back and forth between the wheat and the lupins. A, for grazing needs for the sheep, and B, depending on what the weather's looking like. Because with lupins, if it's too hot, pod shatter goes through the roof,
Yep.
and your losses go through the roof. So, and I was actually kind of lucky. Like, this was a bit of a cooler harvest for them, so I didn't die. The hottest day I experienced was 39, but it was getting into the low 40s after I left. Because
boy.
when I was, or my last day, there was one field left, which had been about 600 acres, so they would have gotten it done in 2.5 days.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Awesome. Let's talk about, if it's all right, if you know them off the top of your head. What's the yield differences? You said they had a big crop. What's a big crop to them?
I think I have it on my notes because I did not remember everything. So the wheat was about on average, I want to say 4.5 to 5 ton to the hectare, which would translate to about, well, around Olds and Innisfell, like we aim for about 100, 105.
Yep.
They would have been about 55 to 60 on average, maybe.
Yep.
And
Is that on both the noodle wheat, well, the noodle or the durum, whatever you want to call it, wheat, and the red spring are both about the same, or is the red spring or the flour wheat, you could call it, I guess, too higher?
yeah, they were both pretty comparable between both the milling wheats for flour. The two varieties, they had some significant difference, but I think it was just how the year went because it was a very wet year over there as well. Like I was straddling the combine over some sprayer ruts that would have been up to my chest, so 5 feet at least.
Nice.
Yeah.
And they're not used to that though usually. It's usually pretty dry.
No, that's pretty damn wet.
Mhm.
You know, they'll sometimes get a decent amount of rain, but nothing like that.
Gotcha. And what was canola looking like? Because I know guys out here, they weren't happy with their canola crops, but I'm assuming they're pretty happy out there. No?
Yeah, it was a pretty big canola crop. It was about 3-ish tons, so that would be about 40 bushel.
Yeah, way better than out here.
The barley averaged about 45 to 50,
Mhm.
and then the lupins would have been about 30, 35.
So barley really doesn't average that high out there compared to over here.
No. Well, and the trouble with over there is they're actually some so their soil is mostly sand. Like some days it looked like you were combining at the beach.
Nice.
And like no shit, some of the sand, because I was actually curling last week and I looked at it and it's like I combined on sand as white as this ice.
Jeez.
Oh boy.
Like it's nuts. But you know, some of it was the red dirt sand.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
And then there was
red
some clay
sand,
mix. And yeah.
Gotcha. I guess maybe people that are listening or seeing this right now, they might be curious about too, like if they're growing canola, like, so what's it like? Are they growing like a swab variety canola, straight cut, or like what's it kind of looking? Even at the operation that you were at,
So the varieties are kind of,
are they similar or not?
they're bred for to be able to be swath or straight cut.
Okay.
So the determining factor, from what I've understood, is actually depending on how last year went, is going to determine if we're going to straight cut the canola or if we're going to swath it.
How so? Like they flip it each year type of thing, or
Just how the performance of the crop was last year, and how the combines were able to go through that.
Gotcha. And now, because you said they breed them a bit differently, but are they pretty similar varieties to what we have out here, or not? Or
Yeah, they would be fairly similar, but obviously being in a different country, like it's the same, like in vigor but it's all, of course, way different numbers that are foreign to me, right?
Yeah, exactly. Fair enough. Awesome. So you get through the whole season type of thing.
Yeah.
So you get to the lupins and the cereals and stuff like that. At the end of the season, and maybe reflect a bit on your whole season, what was your favorite aspect of harvesting in Australia?
Honestly, like running the combine was the exact same as here because I've run a case 8240 here and I ran a case 8240 over there. Same machine, but the terrain and how it reacts to the crop was so much different.
You want to expand on that?
Yeah, so one question I wanted to ask is like, what was the landscape like that you were working with? Is it just flat shit out there, or did you have hills to deal with? Was there mountains over there as well? Like,
there was everything from flat as a pancake to your combines like going down a hill that's, what would that be, 20 degrees, and your crop and your drawers going up and down the hill.
Yeah.
And then you're in sand, you're in sandy clay soil, and then you're in rocks. Like any rock that could be from the size of what we would call a tiny little pebble, so the size of your pinky nail, up to the size of
your head.
probably your body.
Okay, yeah.
If not bigger.
Gotcha. So, but what was the highlight though of this whole experience?
I'd say the highlight of it is just actually seeing how they differently operate when it's the same concept.
Gotcha.
Like it's a pretty broad highlight, but it's just so different from what I was used to, and every farm does it differently, but just to see how they manage all this different terrain, all this different soil type was just eye-opening, but so cool to see and learn.
When you're having chats with the guys out there, what were some of the challenges that they maybe if you guys talked about challenges out there, what were some of the challenges that they have that maybe we don't have out here, or maybe they're the same?
That was very much discussed. One instance I actually kind of found interesting is like the case of New Holland combines. Well, John Deere's got it too, but they've got the automation.
Okay.
And like here, not totally, but to an extent, it's kind of set it and let it do its thing. Here, there, it's like set it and monitor the shit out of it. But you're going to be adjusting a lot. Like I have never seen combine settings get adjusted so much in my life. So that was kind of bizarre. And then because they grow in the winter, they do get frost damage because it can get below, or I think the lowest they said they've seen is like -10. Yeah. But with the humidity.
And if you hit it at certain, like canola, if you hit it where the growing point's just a bit above and you get a little bit of frost damage on that, obviously that does something. So I'm assuming, especially earlier on when the winter's just starting, frost is probably a big issue for them. Right?
It is a very big issue because to us, frost damage is impact on the kernel. Where there, it's impact on the plant during critical stages of growth.
Yeah.
And so you're, instead of just seeing impacts on the kernel, you're seeing major yield reductions.
Gotcha.
In spots.
Fair enough. Was there, so you talked about one agronomy type struggle or whatever, environmental struggle, was there, and then obviously there might be the dryness too, either leading up to the season or during the season. Was there anything else?
Actually, the heat is definitely a big one because they have what's called harvest bans. And when you're like, especially during harvest, when you're trying to go, it has to be above a certain temperature. The humidity's got to be at a certain point, and the dew point's got to be at a certain level. Like there's all these different factors that go into the calculation, but as soon as they put a harvest ban on, like you got to get the hell out of the field quick and have everything shut off within 10 minutes.
Really?
Like,
well, how do these guys, if they're in the middle of nowhere, know when the harvest ban comes on? Or is there just a big whole system that they
so the Shire, which is like, it's almost like a county, but the towns are included. So like we're in the Shires of Morat and Dandaragan and Barberton. Yep. But the Shire of Dandaragan had a alert that they would text you to say shut her down.
Oh wow.
And yeah, you have to get the hell out of there as quick as you can and have everything cooled down and shut off.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
So vehicle movement and harvest bans are a big issue over there.
Mm-hmm.
And then actually on the livestock side, like one issue is that so instead of dropping straw, they spread everything, and then they leave the stubble to graze it.
Yeah.
So there's so many different things between crop and livestock that they got to factor into for it to be successful. And you're dealing with excessive heat. Sometimes you're dealing with excessive moisture. So for them to have a decent year or what we would call a decent year is rare.
Okay, it's like 1 out of every 5.
Yeah, like they're always dealing with something extreme weather-wise.
One thing that comes off the top of my head through my research of Australian agriculture and what I've kind of noticed, just peeking into it a bit, is they don't have any government involvement with theirs. Is that true?
Oh, they do.
They do?
Yeah.
Okay.
You might not hear about it like that, where you're researching for it.
Yeah.
But all the farmers, they cuss out the government for quite a bit.
Okay, so it's government involvement in different ways.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Fair enough. Awesome.
Yeah, I won't get too deep into that because my knowledge is like not much.
Yeah, that's fair. I thought I asked because I've seen
Let's
something.
not get political.
I've seen some things where like the Australians don't get the the financial support that the Canadian farmers get from the
Yeah, and
government.
that's actually it is more the financial side of things.
Yeah, so yeah, I was just curious on that. Before I keep on ranting, Mason, you got any more questions?
Yeah. Did you at any point during your 4-month venture there have the opportunity to fight a kangaroo?
Quick tangent. Quick tangent.
Yep.
Actually?
Yep. And I won.
Did you fuck it up?
So we were shutting down for the night.
You got to beat up a kangaroo.
Yeah, we were shutting down for the night, and so the one other guy who was my age, him and I got in the ute, and we're headed back to the yard to go drop off the service trailer. And anyway, so we're driving back, and we're just about to leave the field because these fields are fucking massive. Like,
Yeah.
some fields are 20 acres, some are 975 acres.
Yeah.
It's nuts. But yeah, anyways, we're just about at the approach, and just because the kangaroos being out at night is a big deal, so everybody's got the LED lights that literally light up the whole place. And there's this kangaroo just bouncing across the road, and it kind of stopped, and we're just kind of waiting for it to go. Ryan honks the horn. Decides to turn around and charge us.
Really?
And so it runs into the front of the ute, goes off the side of the bull bar, and it fell down. So I like to say I got in a fight with a kangaroo.
So you didn't actually get
No,
it.
not
No,
physically.
You didn't square up?
No, the ute took it out for
Brody,
us.
Brody, you're a bitch. You had a
Oh,
prime opportunity.
its face was frightening when it was running at
Oh,
us.
dude. Yeah, those things probably are pretty menacing looking, eh?
Yeah,
They're just weird animals if you think
They're just
about
weird
it.
and they look muscular. Any photos I've seen, they just look
Yeah,
muscular
They
as
look
shit.
shredded.
actually, when I was doing my Western Australia South Coast road trip, we were heading down to, so Esperance is right on the absolute south, and we were cutting cross country to go down there. And anyway, so side of the road, there's a dead kangaroo. You see more dead kangaroos than you do live ones in some places. It's nuts.
Are you allowed to just like shoot the shit out of them on site?
No.
'Cause are they a nuisance or are they
Oh, they're an absolute nuisance.
Yeah.
So are you allowed
Yes.
to kill them like
without tags?
without tags?
Yeah,
No,
the tag system.
no. They, like on farm, like if they're pasturing your sheep, it's kind of the same here. If it's being a threat,
Shoot shovel.
deal with that, but
Yeah.
you kind of got to keep your mouth shut.
Yeah, like Mason said, shoot, shovel, shut up.
Yeah,
type of thing.
pretty much.
Gotcha.
But yeah, anyway, so there's this one kangaroo dead on the side of the road. It looked like a 300-pound guy laying on the road.
Holy.
It's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Because they can get up to 6.5 feet tall. Some of them.
Really?
Wow.
Remember that video of that guy who like squared up with a kangaroo that was like trying to steal his dog?
No, I don't know.
Anyways, search it up. It's a funny video.
Awesome. All right, back to the farming. Let's go. You talked a bit about the equipment. What's some of the cool stuff that you maybe saw? Like, did you do any farm tours after your couple months of working, or like?
Not in Western Australia, but when I was going through Queensland, I did do a tour on a cotton farm.
Oh, okay. What were some, even including that tour, what were some cool pieces of equipment or something things that were different that you saw?
So I'll just start with the farm I was working on. Some pretty standard equipment like case combines, Acton headers. The grain cart tractors were Fenton Challenger. And then because they don't have on-farm storage, like they have great, they had a big grain cart, the guys I was working for, and it was only 1,400 bushel, which is tiny for us.
Mm-hmm.
Well, mid-size for us, I'd say.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyways, so there was that, and then the field bins. The one that my boss had was pretty small. It was 110 ton, and they could get up to 300 ton, which I believe 110 ton is about 4,500 bushel. But yeah, anyway, so that's some more Australian-made equipment.
Mm-hmm.
And then the air seeder that my boss had was the same concept as what we have, but when it comes to putting a crop in, they spread their granular fertilizer more than run it through the drill.
Oh, okay.
And
sorry, Milo. We love Milo, but you can't use it sometimes.
But yeah, anyways, so they run more liquid fertilizer through the seeder than granular.
Like a liquid end.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. And they're spreading their potash and their phos.
Yeah.
Or before they run the seeder through.
Yep. Exactly. Gotcha. And sprayers, like they're pretty well similar. And then obviously because fires are a big issue. Mostly during harvest and fire season, they always have to have firefighting units on the back of the utes.
Oh, okay.
Because they're like pickup trucks.
Yeah,
right?
but they're not pickup trucks, aren't they? They're like a Ranger size, aren't they?
Ford Ranger size, yeah. But like the popular vehicle brand over there was Toyota. And with Toyota, like the populars are the Hiluxes and the Land Cruisers.
Which I've seen in Africa too. The Hiluxes are pretty popular.
Yeah.
Do you see any like jacked up Dodges while you're
over
there?
See any like 3,500?
They would have those would have to be
350s
like imported, especially.
Yeah.
Wouldn't they?
And built for right-hand drive as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually looked on Facebook Marketplace at around 1,500. It was a 21 used with about 50,000 kilometers on it.
How much did they want for it?
$125,000.
Like Australian.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like
that's like
over
$5 Canadian.
Yeah.
Oh, it still would have been about 100,000 Canadian.
What do they use for money over there?
It's the Australian dollar.
Oh,
It's about
But it's less than Canadian, isn't it?
10 cents difference.
10 cents.
Yeah. Yeah, we're stronger by about 5 to 10 cents typically.
Gotcha.
In the time I was over there.
thank you, oil and gas.
I wish it was the same way with the American, but yeah. So basically, on Western Australia, basically the same. But do they? I've seen these actually the Canadian farm shows. What do they call it? Those big mother bins or mother grain.
Mm-hmm.
Are those pretty popular?
Oh yeah, those are the field bins I was talking about.
Oh, okay.
So they'll have those big mother bins, which, like I said, they typically start at about 100 ton and they can go up to 300. And then the other field bins they look like a tiny little grain bin and they can hold about 55 ton.
Are they? I think I've seen photos. Are they the ones with the tops cut off, basically, and then the grain cart can just dump right into it?
The ones that the big mother bin obviously is just a tarp like a grain cart.
Yeah.
But these field bins that the guy I worked for had, they just have flaps on each side.
Okay.
So you'll come in and you'll dump your first grain cart load into it, and then you'll come in on that same side again, top it up until you can't stuff anything more into there.
Yeah.
And then you flip around it and top it right off.
Oh, gotcha. And then for trucks, because I know Can't they haul? Don't they have trucks that are bigger than Super Bs out here? I thought they have these massive road trains, don't
Yeah,
they?
they got road trains. So their rules are kind of weird to me because, well, first of all, depending on the roads in your area, you
Mhm.
can only have so big of a vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
So the guy that I worked for, basically a road train, but it was a cab over truck.
Yeah.
And then they all use end dump trailers over there.
Okay.
So one end dump trailer, then a dolly, and then an end dump trailer. But depending on the area, you either classify them as a long vehicle or a road train.
Oh.
And it is classified as a road train if you have basically like a trailer frame, and then it's like our Super Bs where it would connect to a trailer,
Yeah.
but then you have trailer, dolly, trailer.
Oh.
And so that dump is on that main frame that connects to the truck.
Oh.
And then, yeah, like some areas they get into the 3 trailer, the 4 trailer, like it's nuts.
And like, how many tons could you haul on that road train? You think?
Well, our truck,
Because the general Super B is about 42 to 45 tons. So
Yeah.
how many would that be at road train?
so the truck that the guy I worked for had with the 2 trailers, no more than 60 ton.
That's still a lot more.
Because
than
they could haul 53 ton, but
Mhm.
at harvest, the farmers get a 10% allowance.
Oh, gotcha. Gotcha.
So a standard load was about 55, 56 ton.
Still 10 more ton than here. So
Yeah.
that's still pretty good. And then, so I guess we'll get more into the Eastern Australia because I wouldn't mind hearing about your farm tour on that cotton farm. But I guess 1 or 2 more questions I got. For anybody Canadian that wants to go out to and harvest on Australia, do you recommend it?
150%.
Awesome. Do you have any
Are you
tips?
going back?
I would like to.
Mhm.
If I get the chance, I will.
What are some tips though? Because you're a foreigner, right? You're going to a foreign country. So what are some tips for some guys who are thinking about doing it but aren't sure?
Well, I mean, the general tip with going to Australia is the culture is very laid back and they speak their mind. So be prepared for that.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to be really willing to step out of your comfort zone and be pushed to the absolute limit.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, there were days that I was absolutely stressing out, but, you know, I was just amazed to hear my boss say at the end of harvest, it's like, for your age, I'm so amazed at how well you can operate. And like, I never run grain cart before until, well, I ran for 3 days before I left for neighbors, but I drove it quite a bit over there and they were shocked that I never run one. Cause I like, the guy who led harvest operations, he's like, I don't know how you haven't done this before because you're like my ideal grain cart driver.
Okay. Awesome.
But
So-
yeah, you gotta expect like that crazy ass terrain, the big rocks, the big fields, and that you might have to go 40 kilometers an hour to go from one side to the combines.
Oh wow.
Guess probably learning some of the lingo wouldn't be a bad
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah,
as well.
so let's
but
not-
don't be dropping C bombs, folks. Just because you go to Australia, don't mean you're Australian. So
They drop
you let
left,
them
right,
drop
center.
C bombs. That's not for you to do.
What speaking of lingo, just a little side tangent. What's some lingo that you kind of picked up with
Thongs is flip flops.
yeah,
Yep.
from that?
So, like I said earlier,
Don't say C word.
a man is
No.
a bloke,
Drop a C bomb.
No.
a woman's a Sheila.
Sheila.
Yeah.
Sheila.
Okay.
What if your actual name is Sheila though?
well,
You're a Sheila.
Sheila the Sheila.
Sheila the
That's
Sheila.
nice.
And then like I was saying, like what we would call a pickup truck is called a ute.
Mm-hmm.
A combine is called a header. A header is
It's
either
called
called
a
a,
combine.
it's either called a front or a comb.
Comb. I like comb.
And is there a difference
straight-
between a pickup header and a straight header?
Yeah, they call the straight cut headers.
Do
the-
you
the
call
combs.
like a
Oh,
short
okay.
a short comb a pick?
No.
Fun.
That's such a bad joke.
And then
Obviously.
obviously like within the combine they had a lot of different terms as well that I'm like, what the hell are you talking about?
Mhm.
But yeah, and then fields are paddocks and grain carts are chaser bins, and
It's just completely different. Just take the best
yeah,
picture.
like honestly, I was on the phone with somebody back home, and like at this point I had all the lingo pretty well down pat, and that's all I was saying. And my friend that I was on the phone with is like, "What are you talking about?" It's like, well, I've adapted.
Did you pick up the accent or no? Or are you still pretty Canadian accent even though when you left?
Yeah, still pretty Canadian accent, but
Mhm.
like my the whole time I was over there, like I'd say after about a month and a half of being there, like my lingo was much more Australian.
Gotcha.
I
Like,
feel like I'd struggle being able to understand what everybody's saying. That'd be my big problem.
yeah, and
What?
actually,
What?
Huh?
What'd you say?
the Australians they talk a little bit slower, so it's easier to understand.
Mm.
But New Zealanders talk like the accent is fairly similar, but it's a bit faster. So two Kiwis talking to each other, like I'm like, I can't even understand you.
Gotcha.
But
They like being called Kiwis.
oh yeah, they don't mind it.
Yeah.
They say it themselves.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I never knew if they liked that or not.
Mhm.
But no, I would say I'd probably learned like down near 500 to 1,000 different words.
Oh wow. Whole new dictionary.
Yeah.
Funny. So you finished up your little trip, or not little trip, your trip in Western Australia. Then you said you went over to the east side, no?
Yeah. So, like I said before, like I didn't see the last day of harvest because my last day was the 21st of December. And I had to be, or I was flying out on the 23rd. So
Mhm.
I only missed 2.5 days maybe. But we have family that's 5 hours south of Sydney, so I flew over there and that was an event.
So all your flying was just an event.
Yeah. So when I was going over to the East Coast, I was going over to our family's place to spend Christmas and New Year's with them. And anyway, so I didn't know this, but there were some bad storms in Melbourne before I got there, like day or two before. And so I flew from Perth over to Melbourne. And just as I turned my data back on my phone, I seen that my connection to Sydney was canceled.
Oh.
And I was pushed back to a flight that would have gotten into Sydney when my next connection was leaving, which was on a different airline.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
So anyways, I had to redirect to Canberra and
So a completely different city.
and took the bus from Canberra to Narooma, which is where my family's at. So that was fun.
Mhm.
And then my bags didn't show up until Christmas Day.
How much clothes did you have in your backpack?
More than I thought.
Oh, well, that's good.
I was only short on socks, surprisingly.
Oh, that's not bad.
But yeah, no, we're just opening Christmas presents on Christmas Day. And doorbell rings
What'd you
and
get for Christmas?
my bags.
Your clothes.
I mean, with those being your only clothes, I bet you that was a pretty good Christmas present.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, no, it was nice to see them show up.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah, so spent Christmas and New Year's there. And then I went and traveled around. The original plan that I was basically going to start in either Brisbane or Melbourne and then work to the other.
Mm-hmm.
But then this all came up that I was going to the families for Christmas. So I went there
Mm-hmm.
and I home based out there for 3 weeks because the plan kind of changed.
Yeah.
And so I went into the Snowy Mountains and out of them down to Melbourne, back up the coast to Narooma. And then once I got back from that road trip, I just took her easy for a day to do laundry and all that. Then I went into Canberra and seen a bit more of that. And then from Canberra, I went back there. And then I flew up to Sydney, and Dad actually had come over for the last 2 weeks of me being there.
Oh, that's nice.
And I was supposed to be over there until the 12th of February, but with him just being there for 2 weeks, it's like, wow, I might as well not stick around for another 2 weeks if you're here.
Mm-hmm.
So came home on the 29th of January instead. But
Mhm.
yeah, so I went and picked him up. and we rented a little camper van.
Oh, nice.
Went back down to the family so he could go say hi to them, and then we basically hightailed it to a town called Gameri up in Queensland, which is where a friend of my cousin, his parents are out there, and like they did cattle themselves, so they showed us around their place, and then.
Are they on one of those big, you hear about here, the big like cattle stations? Is that what they run, or is it more of a small
They were further into the outback, and then they moved out to where they are now, and just they don't run any more than 30 head a year now.
Okay, gotcha.
But
did they ever talk about their experiences owning the station, or not really?
Briefly, but not big time. But I know my cousin's friend. He said like when they were driving cattle out in the outback, they would literally, because it was in like high 40s, low 50s for temperature.
Yeah.
The only way that they could get through the night to actually sleep was exchanging sheets throughout the night and pulling them out of the freezer.
Oh shit, that'd be terrible.
Yeah. Yeah. No, they like their air conditioning over there.
I would too. I like it here where it's plus 20. So yeah, no, that's fair. So maybe just a little bit more agriculture talk here. So were you able to tour any farms on that side of the Australia?
Yeah, so when we were up in Gameri, that's where the cotton farm was. And so when we went there, like didn't get to see any of the equipment because they didn't have any on site at the time. Like for the harvester, the planter, but tractors, tillage equipment, seeing that sort of stuff. But it was interesting just to see. Like I think they had about 5 or 6 different irrigation systems on the farm.
Really?
Yeah.
Like they just pivots and wheel lines. And flood irrigation. It was all sorts of stuff.
So there was flood and like the manual one where you siphon the hose.
Yep.
And then let it run down. And then there were actual systems, but it was cheaper to siphon it. But they did have a couple systems where it just pulls out of the ditches. And then they had I can never remember the names, but one that goes across, but it also follows the trench line all the way around.
Oh, okay.
So it turns the corners and it does a big square.
Yep.
And then they had a few pivots.
Couple wheel lines too, or no?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Like it was just amazing to see all the different irrigation there and even just different soil types within the farm. And
yeah, I'm assuming just seeing cotton farming too, so that's not that's pretty foreign to hear. So
yeah, and it's an interesting plant to look at too.
So like,
it's like a shrub, isn't it?
Pretty much.
And like, don't they do multiple seasons with it, or do they have to
So they replant it every time. But what's interesting about it is they'll harvest the fluff.
Yeah.
And then I can't remember if it's on the cotton harvesters nowadays or if they go in behind it later. But they collect the seeds and it goes for feed.
Oh, okay.
High protein.
Gotcha. Do they collect the corn stalks too for feed? Because I know they do that.
They just mulch it.
They just mulch it. Because I know they do that in the southern states. A lot of dairy farms in like Arizona and stuff.
Yeah.
But it's like basically their straws. They throw corn stalks in.
Yeah. No, they just mulch it all and then start the process over again.
Even just from your driving, what were some of the different types of farmers you were kind of seeing? Because you were doing a lot of driving last time.
Yeah. I believe I drove damn near 10,000 kilometers.
Holy shit.
But yeah, no, like in all my travels, so like through New South Wales and Victoria, it's a lot of livestock, a lot more cows. Like there's more sheep from what I've seen in Western Australia. But yeah, so lots of cows, lots of dairy. And especially where our family's at, like just to the south of them, there's a shit ton of dairy and like the biggest dairy processing plant in Australia is there as well. And then when you start going north towards Sydney, you kind of see some grain crops, but not as much. And then you see lots more livestock, lots more vegetables and fruit and whatnot. and then north of Sydney to I can't remember where in Queensland, but you start seeing a lot of sugarcane.
Mm-hmm.
So
Did you
yeah,
see
big
a lot-
variety.
I think I saw a few documentaries on the sugarcane in Australia. Did you see all the little train systems that they had there? Because I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure they load them straight into trains off the field almost, and then they just go to the plant.
Yeah, damn near that.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That'd be cool to see.
And you know, like Australia's, I think, a good country. Like they're very heavily agricultural.
Mm,
And what I like about it is you go into a grocery store, everything that's on the shelf was produced in Australia.
that's
pretty dope.
that's actually
Like
sick.
they, obviously not everything, but
Yeah.
like a lot of the produce, a lot of the, like it's basically the international cuisine is all that comes in.
Mm-hmm. It's pretty cool.
Like
actually.
craft dinner.
Didn't see any craft dinner.
They don't have any craft dinner.
No.
It sucks. Did it
They have like a different variation of it.
Oh, probably, but I wasn't paying attention.
There's too much other good food there to be having craft dinner.
Yeah.
Yeah. So awesome. You got any more questions, Mason?
Which side of the country had better babes, the west or the east side? I know you were looking, Brody.
No, I was.
Oh, what was better?
Well, I mean, they call the Gold Coast for some reasons.
Which coast is that?
It's on the East Coast, up around Brisbane.
Okay.
No.
Can you
That's
check?
a lot of the beachy area. Like, you know, in Australia, like doesn't matter what side or what area you're in, there's tens and ones,
Mm,
Tens and ones.
10s and 1s and nothing in between.
pretty much.
Damn. That's tough.
Yikes.
It makes me think of there's one episode on Family Guy where they're going through Russia.
Yeah, it was the same
ooh,
thing.
ooh,
Yeah.
ooh.
Did you check out any of the nightlife while you were there, or did you keep it pretty professional?
Not big time. Obviously, like in Western Australia, when had like if we shut down early or if we had a day off or something, try to do something. But I'd say the most wild night was actually when we went to the pub after the races in Mora, and like the pub was just jam packed full. And anyway, so partying on, and 10:30 and last call.
At 10:30?
10:30.
I'm like, what? Where are we?
Yeah.
Yeah. What?
And
Is that
then,
normal?
like, I literally looked at my, yeah, it is. I looked at my watch and it's like, yeah, apparently we like to party at home.
Yeah, apparently.
10:30. that's
But-
weird.
You don't even show up to the bar till 10:30 now.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it was wild. And like kind of by midnight, like they shut down. And like especially in the small rural towns, because of the Aboriginals and you know, obviously like here there are issues going on, right? But like we were just going out of the pub to head home and there were Aboriginals just stirring up big fights. So I think that's a big part of it too, is
So is that also applied to like the clubs as well, like in Sydney and stuff? Like, there's no way the last call
in the
there
big
is till
cities,
10:30.
so pubs are shut down earlier.
Okay.
Nightclubs will obviously
Yeah.
go late.
Okay.
Okay, gotcha.
But yeah, the nightclubs are more in the big cities.
Gotcha. I got
Any
two.
honky tonks?
Mhm.
Oh god, not even close to what we would call a honky.
You probably couldn't find shit for like Western.
Well, I was about to
fashion
get
over
into
there.
it. What was the fashion like out there? Did you adopt the Australian fashion towards the end?
Well, I mean, as far as farming, like it's a lot of like t-shirts or cotton long sleeve shirts or some short sleeve. And then obviously whether you're a tradie or you work on a farm or whatever, like there's a lot of high-vis stuff as well.
Yeah. Is that
And-
you have to wear the high vis, or is that by choice?
Depends on the situation and where you're going.
Okay.
Because like at the grain terminal, for instance, like you had to have high-vis on site or you couldn't even get out of a truck.
Oh, okay.
But on the farm, it's kind of just whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, lots of big brim hats, like not cowboy hats, but that same concept where the brim goes all the way around just to protect your head and your neck.
Yeah.
Just because of dealing with the heat. And
Uh-huh.
then the shorts were like, I actually bought quite a few pairs of shorts and some work pants from over there because they'd be nice for summer because they're actually vented.
Oh. That'd be nice.
Yeah, and yeah, like they got shorts that go to your knees. They got shorts that are like Daisy Dukes,
Yeah.
rugby shorts, and then yeah, like the pants are all vented as well, which is nice.
Well, the ventilation probably helps, but your swass was probably still through the roof, eh?
Yeah, I was dripping sweat. There was one day it was only 38, and I got out of the tractor and I told the guys I gotta stay in the tractor. Like
Yeah.
you do your thing. Like
I need scheduled water breaks.
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
That was the one nice thing about driving Chaser, Ben, is you could when you had that little time to sit, like you could kind of recharge quickly.
Gotcha. All right, Mason, you got any more questions? Because I got our classic final one about Australia. I'm gonna say that's a no.
Yeah, I don't think they really.
All right, so like every interview, we ask everyone what their favorite beer was. What was your favorite though Australian beer that you had?
Australian version favorite beer.
Yeah.
So a lot of the beer over there is actually pretty light. Like here, like I can have say 4 and feel something, but I can have 8 and it's like, hey, I can drive home.
Wait,
which you don't do.
No,
but,
I don't.
But you could.
It's that feeling.
Yeah.
like, are they like 4%? Is that what you mean, or like they're just really light?
They're just very light. Like they do have some of their darker beers, obviously, but they just don't hit as hard. And maybe it's I don't know. Maybe they got percent difference.
So what was a brand though that you liked?
Well, definitely not Great Northern, because I was like drinking horse piss with the foam farted off. Emu Export was no better. Like a lot of the mainstream ones, like
they just don't taste good.
They're not great.
You can get like Bud Light over there though, can't you?
No,
really.
This is no mainstream.
Actually, there was a brand which is kind of mainstream, more on the East Coast called Cooper's. It was pretty good.
Okay.
But I can't remember the one, because the guy that I worked for, like, he helped a brewery in Western Australia get going.
Yeah.
And like a lot of his barley goes to them.
Yeah.
And I can't remember Sidetrack is what it was called. It was pretty good.
Yeah. Awesome.
So then, if the beer wasn't that good, are you just drinking rum and cokes then when you're going out, or?
Actually, the one thing that because like the spirits aren't a huge thing over there. But the one thing that I liked a lot is like in cans and bottles, they got pre-mix. So it's already mixed with the Coke. Like that was awesome.
Like a rum and Coke already mixed? I don't trust that.
Well, it was like
they can't make the blend as good as I can.
Mason, I don't think your 75-25 would call.
No.
Blend.
But there were some mainstream brands of rum, like Captain Morgan and Kraken and things like that.
What was something out there that everyone drank that maybe they don't drink, or is everyone out there drinking kind of the same thing?
Smirnoff.
No, like beer is the big one.
Yeah.
If it's not, or red wine is huge there as well.
Oh, okay.
But I would say in Western Australia there was a lot of Great Northern that got sold.
Oh.
Like it's probably one of the biggest.
That was the shit stuff.
To me.
Yeah. Okay.
But a lot of people swear by it.
Oh. It's kind of like the Pilsner here.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. But
Pilsner's good.
Yeah, but Pilsner's good.
Yeah. You go with that, Dev.
I haven't had one in like 3 or 4 years, but it was good back then.
Yeah, it's still good.
Yeah. And then what? Oh, go ahead. Bundaberg rum.
What's that?
Rum?
It's a rum produced in Australia. So Aussies swear by it. Some of them do, but it's terrible.
Was it like a dark rum, or is it some like bush type rum, basically?
It's a darker rum.
What kind of rum is
I don't know. It's some like moonshine looking like rum.
It would serve a better purpose taking rust off of something.
No.
I had a mixed with Coke Bundaberg and rum on a tour, and like it slapped me so hard upside the head, like I had to dump it over the side of the boat.
No, yeah.
Fair enough. All right. Well, I think that's a good way to end off this little interview. Yeah, nice.
Yeah, no, that was good. Thanks for coming on, Brody.
Yeah, thanks
Mhm.
for
It was
having me.
nice to talk about your experiences in Australia, and who knows, we might have to get you on here again in the future. Maybe we talk sheep or something like that.
Yeah, because I'll be getting into that.
Yeah, so we'll have to get you back on.
Awesome.
Sounds good. Thanks
All
for
right.
having me.
And that was our interview with Brody Nestrovich. Thank you again for coming on, Brody. Be sure to go check out his past episode, which was like episode what, 4 or 5?
Yeah, it was like one of our first ones.
It was episode 4 or 5. So be sure to go check that out. And then, yeah, other than that, I think we're gonna wrap it up for today, Mace.
Yeah, I think we're gonna keep the banter pretty low on this one. Stay tuned for next week. Devin and I, we've been crushing some interviews lately, so
Some good
we got
ones.
some pretty cool stuff coming up in the pipeline here. So just stay tuned for that, everybody.
And also, if you're like someone that likes to listen right away on the Sunday or the Monday, be sure to check out our Instagram and our TikTok. We're having that Sunday we'll start our road trip from Arizona back to Alberta. So be sure to check out our stories for some interesting stuff that we are doing along that trip. So
Also, I've been talking to quite a few people about like one of the things we talked about in our last episode about like how cool pirate ships are.
Yeah.
And it's kind of been a 50-50 split between
50-50.
people who think my idea is cool
all right.
and people who shit on it.
All right.
So
Maybe we'll throw an Instagram poll tomorrow.
I know I'm right. So
Yeah, well, we'll throw an Instagram poll. Anyways, so be sure to tune into our socials at Hicks from the Sticks on Instagram, of course, TikTok, Twitter, and Facebook. And also check out our YouTube channel.
hell yeah.
All right. Tell a friend.
Tell that friend to tell a friend.
All right. Have a
All
good
right,
night, y'all.
Take care, folks.